hey, you want to watch the first 20 minutes of The Lion King 1 before we take it away?
Well,
It's a little
yeah.
different. It's not like, hey, you want to try like a bite of the McRib, but only that partial piece of the sandwich? Maybe you just get the rib, but not the whole sandwich before we take it away.
Alex, I wanted to pass this next segment on to you because you were talking a little bit
Sure.
about the nature of Next Fest demos in relation to how we how we deal with demonstrations for games typically. Pros and cons.
Yeah, so it got me thinking because I had suggested a friend try a game or look at this game that was on Next Fest, and as we are just talking about, Next Fest is great for demos. The problem I have is that Next Fest only lasts a week, and after that week, a lot of those games take their demos away.
Yes.
And the issue I have with this is that, well, we're all old enough to remember demo discs being a thing.
Oh, yeah. Pizza Hut.
And the age...
That's some nostalgia right there.
PC Gamer magazine with their game demo disc of multiple demos. And, like, we grew up in a time where demos were big because they wanted people to try the game and they wanted to put it out there, and it's like, here, try it, and then maybe you'll want to buy it. For a number of years, demos kind of disappeared, and now it seems they've come back a bit, but they're very crammed into, like, 1 week time frames at a time.
Yeah.
Where, how many games were there on Next Fest this time?
Oh god, hundreds. Just
hundreds? I think I definitely went through my discovery queue for it, and I probably went through over 200 games.
Yeah.
Out of those, I picked 6 to play. But it's like,
Right.
if you're going to give me a week-long festival of games that are upcoming in game demos, and then take those demos away afterwards, but there's more games than I have time to play,
Yeah.
who is benefiting in the long run by you taking your demo off the shelf? Because doesn't it seem more in the best interest of your game to have your demo up as long as possible, even after the game releases, so that you can get people to go, I want to try this, I'm going to put a couple hours into it, if I like it, I'm going to buy it, and if I don't like it, I'm not. But then, if they like it and they buy it, they can leave a review.
Right.
If they don't like it and they don't buy it, they can't leave a review.
That makes me wonder about Steam Next Fest in general. I know they have I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have like a registration system where they have to register their games for Next Fest. So I don't know if it's necessarily the developers that are taking away the demos at the conclusion of Next Fest, or if it's Steam. Because fests happen all year round on Steam. You know, you have your RPG Fest, you have your FPS Fest, you have your Spooky Games Fest, and all of those have demos throughout the year. So there's demos constantly coming out. But like,
Sure.
It's like your Next Fest are like your big ones of the year, the 3 that they have a year. They have to register to be able to participate within Next Fest, so they have to meet eligibility requirements. Which makes me wonder if the power is with the developers or the studios that take away those demos at the end, or if it's Steam that has that power. Because some of these demos stay after Next Fest, so it's not all the demos disappear.
Maybe? I feel like it would
there
have
are
to be
some
the
that do stick around.
developers. Well, if it was Steam, then I would think that all the demos that were on Next Fest would disappear. If some stick around, then it makes me think it's the developers.
Mm-hmm.
Because Steam shouldn't be able to pull those back if the developers are like, no, we're keeping this up. It's not obviously just me. It's not only my thought. I've listened to other people who do game reviews and game critiques, namely some of the guys who are at Second Wind, because I've been listening to their podcast a lot. And even, Frost will be like, I have 300 games I want to play as a reviewer.
Yeah.
And in like Yahtzee too, he'll be like, yeah, unless you want me to like play the game for a minute, it's like I don't have enough time in the day to do a review on every single game I would like to. It's like you have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So it's like,
agreed, because all of us here are content creators, but we all have different things going on in our life. You know,
Sure.
I try to stream 20 hours a week, but I also have a full-time day job, 40 hours a week.
right.
Right.
You know, it's like I have to find this time to be able to play these games on top of my main game, which is World of Warcraft.
Right.
You know, it's just like I gotta find time to play these other games that I want to check out.
Right. Not enough time in the day, not enough fingers on my hand or keyboards in my
And not
in my
enough
lap.
me's to
Exactly.
get all this done.
Exactly. There's not enough me's in the day. This is kind of like a pros and cons scenario. Because for us, the pro would be being able to just play the demos whenever you want. Like, the demos can launch on Steam Next Fest, and that's good, and we know that those demos are out, and then we can keep playing them past that, you know, because we don't get to them during that time frame. But a part of me is wondering if the reason why they do it is to create scarcity on their end, in similar fashion to like how Disney would have the Disney Vault. Remember that, where it's like, oh
Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's the Lion King on DVD, but for only a limited time, and then it's the Rib Witch. We're gonna bring the Rib Witch for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna take it away. You gotta come in and get it now.
I can
Oh,
absolutely
that-
see that being
But-
the thing, but not entirely.
Yeah. So the thing there is with like the Disney Vault or like the McRib, for instance, these are things people love already.
Sure.
I
So
don't.
they're not going, here's a new thing that you've never experienced before.
Right.
You only have it available for this short time, and then we're taking it away. Then you have to go buy it. They're
Right.
not giving you, like, hey, you want to watch the first 20 minutes of The Lion King 1 before we take it away?
Well,
It's a little
Yeah.
different. It's not like, hey, you want to try like a bite of the McRib, but only that partial piece of the sandwich. Maybe you just get the rib, but not the whole sandwich before we take it away. In this case, it's like, okay, well, if I missed out on your demo during Next Fest, but I want to try your game, but I don't have the money or I'm unsure about it, would you as a developer prefer someone tries your game and doesn't like it, or would you rather someone buys your game, doesn't like it, and then refunds it and negatively
and
reviews
has
it?
a negative review. Yeah, no, I would obviously want to take the first rather than the second.
Right.
Yeah.
So like
Agreed.
you're saving a lot of that on the other side of there by just going, try the game for free. You've got either an unlimited trial, but it's a demo, a small area, it's only part of the game, or maybe a limited run, which again is also fine. I think I saw you also tried out Vampire Dynasty, which only
Yeah.
had like 2 days worth of the demo, and I was left with, this was not enough demo for me to really tell anything
So I
about
want
it.
to. I don't know if it's really devil's advocate, but I want to try and play the other side of this. You
Devil's
said someone
advocate.
from Second Win wanted to play 300 demos.
I was giving a
If that's an exaggeration number. No, say that's an
You-
unhinged number. Because the only way
okay.
around it would be. Let me finish. The only way around it would be that if you download all those demos onto your computer, that is the only way that I can think of where you would still be able to play the demo.
No, because
Oh,
I
because
have
of
not
update.
I haven't uninstalled any of the demos that I had, and some of them are unavailable. They just say purchase now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I
sometimes
was
they will.
being hyperbolic about that. It wasn't necessarily, I don't remember exactly what was said. I'm giving it you know,
But that there might be a ton.
Exaggerated.
Yeah, that there's an.
I was going to say, if it's downloaded to your computer, there should be a way to still be able to play it. Because, totally unrelated, I do have a game at my Steam library that is no longer available on Steam, but it still has a play button. I just haven't clicked play. I was going to make a video to
Right.
cover it, and it doesn't show up.
Oh.
And
I mean,
me and another person who told me about the game, for the life of us, cannot find any media, any news about why this game was removed from Steam during Next Fest, but not just the game, the developer as well. All the demos are gone.
Oh.
interesting.
That's intriguing.
That sounds like it's a whole other
That
rabbit
sounds.
hole
Yeah,
topic
work.
for a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like something was happening behind the scenes we don't
But
know
that's why I'm
about.
not
Yeah.
bringing up the name of the game or the developer,
Sure.
because I don't know.
We don't know what's happening.
exactly. If I can find out what happened,
Time
I
to
can bring
do
it
a
up.
deep dive investigative journalism thing about this.
Well,
We'll be
God,
the
this is
one
better than
people-
mine because my ADHD cannot find it for the life of me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and that does happen occasionally too. Like when games are pulled from Steam. I don't know about specifically during Next Fest, but for instance, Spec Ops: The Line, for instance, is no longer available through Steam. You can't buy it anymore.
Yeah.
But if you own it, you can still play it. Stuff like that occasionally happens, but this, I guess,
Yeah.
this sounds like
Yeah.
a different case. Which
Because I have some games in my Steam library that I probably never will play it, but it's like, oh, it's leaving Steam, but you can get it for free now. They're like, well, it's in my library forever.
I'm
I'm just shrugging. I'm like, whatever, free game. Maybe one day I'll play it.
I'm gonna play Demo's Advocate now, because I do have another theory about why companies might agree to have limited game demos, which is about concentration of metrics. So, if I have my game demo and it's just for like the 1 week of Next Fest, and it's during this time where everything's getting promoted, you were talking about like Drill Core Klayton being like the most downloaded game during that time period, and I wonder if it said like, we're gonna have this demo up way past Next Fest. Would everyone be trying to play it during that time period, and would they now be able to say that they had like 100,000 people that had played it? Would the metrics look as good for them? Because there is a longer time period where they can do that, and they can't promote it. So, like, is it an algorithmic thing almost?
in theory, the metrics would be better because given a longer period of time, things perform better. Our video about 3rd edition, for instance, is our best performing video. It has over 8,000 views, and like that just is increasing over time.
That is true.
The
That is
difference
true.
is time scale. Like over 100,000 demos downloaded of this game played in a week. And the week is a great metric, but like, what does that look like over the next 6 months if you were to have that demo still available?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
you're going to gain more, because especially if it's generated enough buzz,
Sure.
because 100,000 people played it, and assuming every person there tells someone else they know that this game was great,
Yeah.
then that's another 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Or if everyone tells 2 friends, that's another 200,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can only generate more from that, really, as long as it's a good product. So, I don't know.
Right. And it is also possible that they do it just because of the exposure of saying that the demos are out. Because really, like, a lot of times I will not seek out demos of games. But Steam Next Fest is one of those times where it's like, oh, I just know that there's a lot of game demos that are going to be out there right now for me to play. And it's possible that there were several games that are on my wish list right now that have demos up that I'm just am not aware of because I didn't bother to look at it. And until it says on Steam Next Fest or something that hey, it's got a game demo, I probably wouldn't think about it. Might be worth me looking at some of the upcoming games that I have on my list and just see if they did even have demos that you could play, because I might just not be aware of it. But I think it might just be exposure.
Yeah.
And that's
And
the
also
reason.
with Next Fest, it has to be a game that's upcoming soon.
Mm.
There are quite a few games where I played where they don't have a date. It doesn't say like the month, or it doesn't say quarter 3 or quarter 2 or quarter 4 of whatever year. Some of them say to be announced. Maybe there could be a little bit more, I don't want to really tighter restrictions on it, but for the application process. But games that say to be announced, maybe it shouldn't be on Next Fest like that. Because that could be like a year from now or 2 years. What is to be announced?
Yeah.
You know,
Whenever
it's
they
like they're
feel
not
like
giving a date.
2025, 26, yeah.
And that's when you're like, oh my god, it's almost like playing a regular game that's in early access that you just probably should be out now, but they've been in early access for 3 years. You know, and it's just like, where do you draw the line on how long a game should be in early access?
I'm still amazed when I go onto my like wish list and it's like, oh yeah, no, there's some There are some games on here that came out in like 2015. They're still considered early access games.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like when DayZ spent 8 years in early access.
Yeah, The Isle I've had on my wish list for a long time, but I think that came out in like 2015. It's still considered an early access game. It's like, I don't think it's ever getting out of early access. I think it's staying there.
And that's totally a whole conversation for another time, like the whole early access thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out firmly in the idea that I think that it's better to have demos available for longer periods of time. And theoretically, like, after it's released at Next Fest, I would actually like to see the demos just publicly available until the game releases, so that people who didn't have a chance to play it in that time period, everyone's busy, everyone has, like, weird schedules and stuff, and there's a lot to weed through. It would be nice to have the ability to at least play that, and I do appreciate it when there are developers that are like, yeah, no, it will be up for longer. It's like, just leave it up. Like, I don't, unless there's an actual reason you can't, but.
Right. And even as a compromise, like, yeah, Steam Next Fest is a week long celebration of upcoming games.
Mm-hmm.
They could leave it, they could be like, okay, so Next Fest is over, but all the demos will still be up for an extra week. You know?
Sure.
You know, it's just like, the festival itself has already ended, but you still got a whole nother 7 days to check out demos that you weren't able to get to.
Sure, yeah.
I don't even mind if games keep demos up indefinitely. Hey, this game has been released, but we're also offering a demo for people to try it because we believe in our product so much that we assume that if you're going to try this game and you think you'd like it, you're going to like it and you're going to buy it. You know?
Sure.
I mean, I agree with you on that too, in that regard. Like, I'm a huge fan of try it before you buy it. You know, you don't want to get a game and you're like, it's not really what I wanted, and then you have to refund. You have to go through the process of refunding it, and pray to God, hopefully you didn't lose track of time and play it for more than 2 hours.
And honestly, what I used to do, I don't really do it nearly as much anymore. But what I used to do back in the day when I was much, much less better off with my money situation, I would torrent games to try them before I'd buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would go, I think this game sounds interesting, but I'm not sure, and I don't have $50 to spend on a game title.
Right.
So I would go and torrent the game, play it for a bit, and if I liked it, I would then go and actually buy the game and support the developers. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't like it, then I didn't spend any money on it because it's a thing I wouldn't have enjoyed.
Right.
I noted, I don't know if it's been like this before in past Next Fest. I noticed it in 2 of the demos I tried during this Next Fest. Some of the demos have achievements.
Yes.
If they're using that as a way to entice people to really enjoy the game, and perhaps even wishlist it because they're like, oh man, I enjoyed this game. I even got a couple of achievements. I like achievements. I'm gonna get the full game so I can get the rest of the achievements. Because if those achievements were to carry over into the full release, then they're gonna be like, I have to buy this game now because I now have to get the other 15 some odd whatever number of achievements there are for this game.
Yeah.
You know, if a game has 8 achievements, but there's 3 for the demo because, you know, those are 3 that are actually attainable.
Yeah. I think it was...
To me, as a player, I'd be more incentivized to buy a game.
Yeah, I think it was Ale and Tail Tavern had like 10 achievements you could unlock if you did like all of the little things in it. And that was one of those cases too for that particular game where I don't think they're keeping up the demo, but they made it very clear on the page that they're actually creating like a prologue, like a free prologue that was going to be coming out in a couple weeks. It's like called First Pour or something. That might be a little bit more expanded, so there will be something free to play. That
is a good marketing tactic too, because I've played a couple of games that had prologue versions that are free.
I've seen a lot of those too. Maybe
and
that's
those games,
thing.
those games ended up on my wish list, and some of those games I actually ended up buying when the game came out because the prologues were enjoyable enough. You know, it's not even a demo; it's a prologue.
Yeah, that might be a whole other conversation itself as well, where prologue, especially because they have a different listing on the Steam page.
They do, yeah.
So maybe that's a thing to get around, like having a demo and the metrics of it, I guess, somehow. But
we could totally talk about that in the future too. Demo versus prologue.
Right, and then that the prologue is almost not really part of the main game, but is trying to be emblematic of the full game itself, which is a whole very interesting thing to itself. But at any rate, I made mention that I think that it would be great if the demo stayed around. But how did the two of you feel? Alex, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I would like demos to just be more normalized than they have been. I don't want them all crammed in a single week. If I want to try a game, I would like it to... If I'm looking at a game and I'm unsure, I want there to be a demo so I can try it and then go, yeah, no, I want this, I'll buy it right now.
Sure.
You know, give me the option to try it before I buy it, or else I'm going to buy it, play it within 2 hours, give you a snap judgment of, meh, I didn't like it, and then I'm going to refund it.
Yeah, I hear you. Klayton, what's your official stance on the demo situation?
I don't mind the event itself being a week long. I'm a little bit middle of the road. I don't mind the demos going away. I don't mind them staying a little bit longer, like a week or maybe even a week and a half, 2 weeks, because I can see both sides of the argument for that. The hardest part, though, for us as content creators is knowing that it's coming up and figuring out through socials or through Steam itself what games that might be on our radar that it's going to be a part of Next Fest.
Yeah,
to get the demo for, because there's the research that we have to put in before the event, and then we come across other games during the event.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the event, we're talking about it.
For the average person that's out there, it would be kind of nice if Steam did a thing where a couple days ahead of Next Fest is kind of like going, these are the games that are gonna be part of Next Fest. If you would like to wish list them or put them on your radar, there will be demos when we start. Because I think for most people, they're not going into the weeds of which games are going to have demos. Let's go to the individual pages and stuff like that. I just don't think they're doing that kind of research just to kind of go, okay, this is the full listing of the games that are going to have demos for this week. So make it well known, to figure out what you'd like to have for selection so that when it launches day one, I can at least, if they're going to be going away in a week, okay, but at least on day one, a lot of people will have, an idea of what they want to grab immediately. And I did not see that with Steam. The first time I saw anything about Next Fest for Steam was the day it started. There was, nothing beforehand.
I can't even recall a time where they talked about a list of games for Next Fest. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
To me, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Not just as someone who enjoys games, but someone who creates content around games.
Yes.
This is what we do,
mm-hmm.
compared to the average player who just maybe wants to find a new game, just so that they can play for themselves. We're looking for games so that we can discuss them.
And so I think that there's a lot of games that kind of end up in the category of, well, I saw my favorite streamer play it, so I guess that's the one that I'm going to go to, the day afterward. And I would just like to see, just in the interest of fairness and give everybody a fair shot, is just say, these are all the games. You could even categorize it these are the genres that they're in, whatever. But this is a full listing of all the games, guys. So, it's coming up in a few days. The demos are going to be live that day. So, if any of this looks interesting to you, feel free to wishlist it now, or we'll notify you, something like that. Or, it's Steam, if they have the resources, is to put a digital checklist on the website. And you have this whole listing and maybe brief synopses if you wanted to, and you can just checklist, put little checks next to the ones that interest you. And so when it comes up on the Next Fest page, it says, these were the games that you were interested in, and then you can just click on that from there. That would be wonderfully convenient for me.
Or even if they recommended Steam games that are going to be part of Next Fest
based on your
previous in your library.
Yeah, based on the ones you gave a positive recommendation to or something, based on your tags.
Because you look at some of these Steam pages and it goes, is this game relevant to you? And it shows you 2 games that have similar stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's hardly ever helpful.
It gives them tags of what are you looking for in Steam Next Fest, ones that have maybe a series of 5 tags or something like that. What 5 tags are you most interested in? and then they give you some recommendations based on the 5 tags that you suggested, or something like that. That would be, again, that would just be helpful to delineate it out, because, again, like Alex was saying, there were like 200 games that you probably, went through, and trying to figure out how to meld that in your head to get around, to figure out what you're doing with all that information is just a lot. We'll see what happens in the next Fest, but that's something to consider, and just our thoughts on game demos. But if anyone out there has any thoughts of your own, or suggestions for what you'd like to see them do to kind of help with this information overload of sorts on Steam Next Fest for the next one, drop us a note in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you.